I'm not getting my video. I will exit and then try and come back in again.
Excellent.
Okay.
Excellent.
Anyway, thank you very much, Mr. Sinaga.
Thank you. Pak Gatot, how are you, Pak Gatot?
Alhamdulillah, Pak. Terima kasih.
Hope your family is good in Mauritius.
Yes, everything fine here.
We were just talking with Lubna and Patrian that as we progress forward on the maritime agenda, the COVID is not getting much better. I hope it's stable in Mauritius.
Yes, we still have 0 case for the local case. We don't have local case here.
That's good. That's good. So as Lubna mentioned, maybe we can start in the next 5 minutes.
Yes, inshallah.
Inshallah. Kita pindah aja ya.
Should we start? Hello? Should we start?
Yeah, we're still waiting for a few participants, but I can see Aubrey now. Great to see you, Aubrey. Now that Aubrey is already visible and Patran, you're visible, I think we can start warming up. We're only 60 seconds away. So with that, I think Ms. Lubna, we can pretty much start then. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and prosperity to everybody. Shalom and welcome and a good morning and a good afternoon to everybody. Welcome to today's discussion. I'd like to first of all convey a strong welcome to everybody on this webinar on advancing sustainable fisheries management in IORA, organized by Indonesia as coordinating country of fisheries management in IORA and the Secretary of IORA. My name is Andre Sirigar. I'm from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It is indeed a great honor for me to be here and moderate this webinar with such a distinguished presenters on an important and interesting topic, advancing sustainable fisheries management in IORA. Ladies and gentlemen, before I allow the floor to the speakers, let me give a bit of a background introduction. The fisheries sector plays an important role in contributing to food security, poverty alleviation, and of course, job creation, and also represents a huge business opportunity, especially in fisheries where one of the main resources of the Indian Ocean could provide for hundreds of millions of people, and it can also greatly contribute to the livelihoods of the coastal communities. However, despite their great importance, the fisheries sector is still facing a wide range of challenges, such as, and among others, overfishing, illegal, unreported, unregulated IU fishing, marine pollution, and habitat destruction. So in order to sustain this sector, emphasis is needed to be laid on the sustainable aspects as well as in the protection of the marine environment. Therefore, this necessitates the attention of the IORA member states, given that fisheries and aquaculture is one of their main focus. Especially so during this time of difficulty of COVID-19 pandemic, a collective effort to maintain fishery sustainability even becomes more pertinent and timely. More than 1 billion of the world's population rely on fish products as the principal source of food and animal protein, and the importance of this sector was also highlighted at the IORA Leaders Summit in 2017, whereby the leaders committed to, inter alia, promote sustainable and responsible fisheries management and development. For example, through enhancing science-based management and conservation of marine living resources. And this also includes through the supporting on strengthening of work of the regional fisheries management organizations, RFMOs, and enhancing regional international mechanism to combat IU fishing. Ladies and gentlemen, having the importance of fisheries sector at the back of our mind, today we will further discuss and exchange information on the initiative of IORA in advancing development in the fisheries management sector. I hope fully that this webinar will enable us to keep abreast on the latest developments, including the ongoing and upcoming projects of IORA, and identify opportunities and also challenges related to fisheries management with a focus on post-COVID initiatives. And with that, I'm very honored and pleased to and privileged to have prominent speakers with us today, whom I believe will no doubt enrich our insights and provide us with greater knowledge and awareness regarding the theme of this webinar. Before I continue, I'd like to let you know that with us we have three speakers. They are Mr. Tria Yunanda, Director at Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Indonesia. And we also have Dr. Lubna Al-Kharusi, Director for IORA Fisheries Support Unit, FSU, based in Oman. And Mr. Aubrey Harris, Fisheries Expert at Cofrepesh, IORA AFD France Fisheries Project, located at Seychelles. With that, I will be giving the floor to the speakers, in which I I will probably introduce their background. For the first speaker, I would like to welcome Mr. Trian Yunanda, who will talk about the importance of the CGFM, the core group on fisheries management, and also its future plans to strengthen cooperation in the fisheries management sector in the IORA region. But before I give the floor to Trian, allow me to introduce the speaker briefly. Mr. Trian Yunanda received his master's degree at Kasetsart University, Bangkok in Thailand in 2004, majoring in fisheries management. His current position is Director for Fish Resource Management in the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries of Indonesia from 2019 onwards. He has led the ministry effort in sustainable fish resource management. Mr. Trian is responsible, among others, to carry out the formulation and implementation of policy formulation of norms, standards, and procedures and criteria. He provides technical guidance and supervision, as well as evaluation and reporting in the field of sustainable fish resources management in inland waters, inland seas, territorial and archipelagic waters, the Indonesian Exclusive Economic Zone, and high seas, as well as monitoring and analysis of fish resources management. You can see that we've given him quite a mandate by Trian to manage all of this, but also he has extensive experience in leading Indonesian delegation to various regional fisheries management organizations, or RFMOs. Mr. Trian was part of the Special Task Force on Southeast Asia Regional Fisheries, Policy Formulation, Southeast Asian Fisheries Development Center, CFDEC, and at present, Mr. Yunanda is also the Commissioner for Western and Central Pacific Fisheries Commission of the Indian Ocean Tuna Commission, and the Commission for the Conservation of Southern Bluefin Tuna. With that, I would like to invite Pak Trian to give us your presentation. Pak Trian, please go ahead.
Thank you, Pak Andre. Let me share my screen. Have you seen? Pak Andrew? Have you seen my screen?
It's a beautiful fish.
Hang on.
Silakan, Pak.
Bisa kedengar nggak, Pak, suara saya?
Yes, can hear you clearly. Very good.
Okay, sorry. I think I have a technical problem.
No worries.
Since I'm doing everything using a mobile phone. Thank you, Mr. Pak Andre Siregar, the Director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, for inviting me as one of the speakers in this event. Begin, I think I would like also to greet the honorable fellow speaker, Dr. Lubna, the Director of IORA Fisheries Supporting Unit in Oman, and also to Pak Aubrey, the fisheries expert of IORA AFD Fisheries project in Seychelles. And also to other colleagues attending this seminar from anywhere, I would like to say good morning and good afternoon from Indonesia. As this auspicious event of the webinar on advancing sustainable fisheries management in IORA, I am delighted to deliver a presentation with the title Answering Challenge in Promoting Sustainable and Responsible Fisheries Management and Development. So I see here also some people may be not really familiar with IORA, so it is a glimpse about IORA. The Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, is an intergovernmental organization formed in 1997 to foster regional economic cooperation. IORA has evolved into the big regional group spanning in the Indian Ocean. It is to be noted that the Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, aims to promote the regional cooperation for a peaceful, stable, and prosperous Indian Ocean. From its inception with 14 member states, the membership has expanded to 22 countries, and IORA has 10 dialogue partners. So as Pak Andre mentions, the Jakarta Concord, as the result of the first leader summit of IORA, which was held in March 2007 in Jakarta, Indonesia. Having one of the objectives in Jakarta Concord is promoting sustainable and responsible fisheries management and development. I believe it is served as a milestone of our today seminar, and also in the discussion later. At the latest IORA meeting, we have agreed with the concept note and TOR on the establishment of a cluster group of fisheries. This is just organized 3 or 4 months ago. I also attended this IORA meeting, the establishment of CGFM. And now we are in the process to circulate the draft work plan of CGFM among members to get an input. So there are around 13 strategic objectives, and there are several action plans. Pak Andro, I'm afraid that I will not mentioning all of the strategic objectives. I would like to share the Indonesian initiative and also later on give a kind of idea to offer the regional cooperation to strengthen within the IORA context. In this good opportunity to pave the way of discussion on opportunity and challenges to fisheries management. So I love to share the Indonesian experience in answering challenges in promoting sustainable fisheries. So this is the slide of Indonesia. This is a part, of course, we are part of the IORA family who has great sea potential. Indonesia has a sea area of which 70% from total area. Having said that, however, its contribution to the gross domestic product is still under 30%. So as we can see from this slide, the Indonesian potential is various from energy potential to marine industry, mining, tourism, and fisheries. There is a challenge for us, for Indonesia, to optimize this potential that we would like to hope benefit of the IORA cooperation to optimize these resources exploitation. Talking about the fisheries itself as our main topic, as the biggest archipelagic country in the world, so and having the vast water area with is approximately 7.81 million kilometers square, which is located strategically between Indian and Pacific Ocean. Indonesia is gifted by the rich abundance of fishery stock, which is amounted of 12.54 million a year. Despite of uniqueness of Indonesian fisheries, which is 90% categorized as small-scale fisheries, so small-scale fisheries, of course, has a significant role in Indonesia. We already mentioned earlier, gender issues also play there's a concern also gender issues in Indonesia on the fisheries management. From this figure also, we see that we produce tuna around 560,000 tons every year, or around 12% of the global tuna production. However, with its wide range of complexity of our fisheries we are facing, we have a challenge to manage our fisheries, not only from a possible occurrence of IU fishing activities, which is always be the top issues, yeah. But we have also a challenge in attempt to have a full compliance with the rapid development of international rule and market standard, including those adopted by RFMO. I would like to focus on this issue instead of talking about IU fishing that's already discussed in, I think, various fora. Therefore, I think also there is a need for us to continue promoting our current effort in maintaining sustainable fisheries, among other to the cooperation among IORA member states. So, like other countries in the world, there is always a debate between people who would prefer to maximize economic benefit from the resources and other who would prefer with the conservation purposes. In this conjunction, there is a need in balancing productivity and protection to maintain the sustainability of resources in the IORA context. The way to achieve and maintain sustainable of fish resources will at the same time improving the quality of livelihood of the fishermen, and the society need to be encouraged. In this sense, both the sustainability of the resources and efforts should looking at the biological, environmental, economically, and social aspect. In Indonesia, a comprehensive sustainable fisheries management framework captured in this slide. The fisheries management framework is covering both upstream fish and downstream, both upstream to the downstream level, so meaning from the fish resources to the market level. This could happen with maintaining synergy among a stakeholder, namely government, businessmen, and other like academy and NGO. So we can work together in answering the challenge in promoting sustainable and responsible fisheries management and development. This is actually the practice of all stakeholders in Indonesia working together in ensuring the fisheries management. I would like to specify talking about the case for Indonesia tuna fisheries, as I believe that tuna is our common commodity in IORA context. There are at least 8 main forecasts to sustain tuna fisheries management in Indian Oceans. As we can see here, started from the improvement of fish data and implementation of e-monitoring and e-reporting. This is also actually our one of the strategic objective in our work plan. Improvement of vessel registration system to RFMO, good handling process on board, CAT certification and other certification for tuna fishing vessel. So we have also a program with the FED, fish aggregating device control regulations, implementation of a harvest strategy framework for archipelagic tuna. This is very important also harvest strategy to maintain and manage the tuna fisheries resources. And also we are active participation in international forum, and of course all of this actually program the focus cover in Indonesia tuna National Management Plan. As we can see here is the point number 6. We are from time to time sitting down together with all Indonesian stakeholders to evaluate this Indonesia tuna management plan. So it is important also to maintain something to have the management plan as we have a work plan in IORA context. Beside the main program activities, of course, to do the implementation of fisheries management, this is also important for us to have a support from the IT support. So all database in Indonesia actually have been integrated one to each other, from the licensing, fishing logbook, fish landing, VMS, to certification of the product to be exported. So the development of IT system is deemed necessary in answering challenges in promoting fisheries. We can see in our work plan in strategic objective. We have also actually the work plan to develop a kind of central digital IORA database. We have one of very good institution, good office in Bali to serve for what we call our scientific and research purposes. So I think that we can offer also for having a good collaboration with other in within IORA. So we would like to have to establish a kind of center of excellence. We can offer also our office in Bali for having this one. So come up with the regional context. This slide offer the background why we need the cooperation among IORA countries. So since the fisheries area in Indian Ocean is very vast, fisheries resources is not limitless, and no administration boundaries for the fish migration. Moreover, for species like tuna, thus fishing activity need to be controlled and managed responsibly by countries, and also to ensure market access or traceability consent on this context. So this is again also show us how important that the IORA to also support the cooperation with the RFMO, as we what we call the leader already give us the direction on this. Talking about the RFMO, since Indian Ocean around our country, of course, there is a concern with the Tuna Regional Fisheries Management Organization, with this Indian Ocean Tuna Commissions. And I think that to control and manage responsibly one of them by active participation in regional fisheries management organization like IOTC. As we can see on this slide, there are several IOTC priority issues which may be also our concern. right now in IOTC, the discussion is focused on particularly allocation criteria issues, fish aggregating device, and also there are an issue also on compliant issues within the
Hello, Pak Trian. I think we've lost you. Semuanya free.
science based. Halo Pak.
Oh, there you are. You're back, Pak. Sorry, Pak. Go ahead, Pak.
Okay, sorry, there is a internet problem here, Pak.
Yes, Pak. Please, Pak.
Yeah. So in the sense that enhancing science-based management and conservation of marine living resources, including supporting and strengthening the work of regional fisheries management organization, can be also considered necessary. So we, Indonesia, encourage IORA Member States to play a more active role in the discussion in IOTC. We have actually established what we call it a G16 group in IOTC that consists of around 21 coastal states located in Indian Ocean. So we can strengthen, we can support the what we call activity within the G16 context to have a common ground and strong position in the discussion in IOTC. Hello, Pak. Okay.
Go ahead, Pak. We can see you.
This is the two last slide. Sorry again, I have a problem with internet. So like in Indonesia, we have some good cooperation with association, company, NGO, academic to develop a kind of fisheries improvement program right now. So also what we call has a success achieving MSG Ecolabel certificate recently. One of our fisheries, particularly tuna small-scale fisheries in Buru Island, can get this Ecolabel certificate. This is the first tuna small-scale fisheries in the world that are awarded by MSG Ecolabel. Other potential collaboration can be done in improving data collection, supply chain, other certification process like fair trade. This is actually the national context that can be brought up to the regional context. We can talk a lot how the importance of the certification process to what we call comply with the international standard. So in order to have more our product to be effective, it's not only in IORA country, but in international exported country. So actually this is only showing the documentation of achievement, those have been mentioned. So with all, I think, Pak Andrew, I would like to end my presentation, looking forward for the discussion with all of you. And thank you very much, Pak.
Thank you very much, Pak Trian. Very enlightening presentation. It gives us a better appreciation of just how vast Indonesia is, and we thank you for your views. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Director Trian Yunanda from the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Affairs. If you have any questions, you could always put in your chat and ask Pak Trian, and maybe we can all respond to it. Our session is 2 hours, so we're already 22 minutes in, so that gives plenty of time for Pak Trian to ponder and perhaps give his response. But in the meanwhile, I'd like to welcome those who are just joining us this afternoon in this webinar. Again, I'd like to think that those that are here today are those that have a passion for fisheries and marine affairs, so welcome. For our next speaker, I'd like to invite my good friend who has worked with me since I was in IORA and since 2018. We will hear some updates and current development and upcoming initiatives of the Fisheries Support Unit from Dr. Lubna Al-Kharousi. Before I give Dr. Lubna the floor, could I read a bit of background about Dr. Lubna? Apart from always meeting her in IORA biannual meetings of the senior officials, Dr. Lubna is also a biological oceanographer specializing in GIS in fisheries management. She received her doctorate degree from Leicester University, England in 2007, majoring in GIS. Dr. Lubna has considerable experience in organizing, planning, and executing field programs and supporting the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, including her recently concluded Arabian Sea study. Dr. Lubna participated in several survey cruises in the Arabian Sea, and she also supervises work related to the spread of Noctulica bloom spread in the area and its impact on fisheries. Dr. Lubna also studied the effects of physical processes on daily to seasonal variability of mesopelagic fish layers from ADCP, backscatter intensity data. In her current position, she was the Director General for Fisheries and Research at Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries of Oman from 2013 and onwards, and she leads the ministry's effort in implementing sustainable use and conservation of fisheries resources of Oman. Dr. Al-Kharousi has many publications of fisheries management issues. Her latest one entitled Ecology and Range Expansion of Noctulica scintillans in the Global Oceans, which will be published in the near future. She is quite an outstanding list of awards. Among others, the most recent ones are first place in Saudi Arabia Award for Environmental Management in the Islamic World 2018-2019, and also the first and second place in Research and Special Studies in the Axes of Arab Food Security for the year 2018. And she also was presented by the Arab Organization of Agricultural Development of the League of Arab States. So it's a real privilege for us to have Dr. Lubna with us. With that, I would like to invite you to present your presentation. Tafaddal ya ukhti.
Thank you very much for your introduction. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. So I have to share my presentation. Somebody has to give me a host, or how can I share it?
Go ahead.
Just give me a few seconds. That clear? It's clear, the presentation?
There we have it, the presentation. Go ahead, Doctor.
No. Okay, so okay. It's fine now. Can you see it?
Yes, please. Tafaddal. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. My presentation, okay, which is, first of all, I would like to thank IORA Secretariat and Indonesia to take this, to host this little bit of a workshop, or we can say brainstorming, something like that, for their really effort and take this forward, which is, I think, it's one of the most important topic in the fisheries sector, which is sustainable fisheries management in IORA member states region. So in my presentation or my talk, I will just focus with three main topics, which is I would like to give the status of the global and regional fisheries, sustainable fisheries, and what are the challenges that we are facing in the region, and how we can go forward and to improve these sustainable fishery resources in IORA regions, state and member states. From this slide or this figure, we can see that in 2018, the global fish production was estimated to reach around 180 million tons, with the total first sale value at US dollars is 400 billion. The capture in fisheries production in 2018 reached up to 96.5 or 0.4 nearly million tons, which is the increase was mostly driven by marine capture. It's very clear from this figure. This, of course, these figures and the information, the source is from FAO. So the mostly that we can see that the marine capture is very high if you compare with inland or with aquaculture, marine or inland resources, where the production from the both aquaculture inland and the marine aquaculture, it reached up to 84 million tons in 2018. It means the contribution is nearly 46%. So the aquaculture is growing, which is one of the part of, I think, and I believe in deep that one is the solutions of what we are going to talk in later, that one of the solutions are how we can sustain our resources in the region. Also was reported that the trade activities about 87% of the fish and the fisheries production in the international trade. The value of the global fish exports increased from 1976, and it's just maybe it was only $8 million or less, little bit, to peak in 2018. It reached up to $164 million. So that is a very high, you know, the potential in the fisheries, which is, as you said, and everybody knows that the fisheries sector is one of the very important sector in the region, although that the DGP, if you see all these countries, still it's a very poor to their countries. So this is the utilization of this figure shows that the utilization of the world fisheries and aquaculture production from 1962 up to 2018, which is in 2018, about 88% of the world fish production was utilized by direct human consumption. And the remaining, which is around just 12%, was used with the non-human consumption, which is was produced by fish meal or fish oil, and has a very low income for the fish meal and the fish oil in the region. In 1960, and has and mostly of the live fresh chilled fish represent the largest share in a fish utilizing in this region, and and it was also often that the most preferable and the high priced from the all types of fish. This is what I was mentioning, that how the population is just in the food, how it's a very the fish food or the fish resources, how important to the sector, which is I think it's around between 20 to 27 kilograms per per head is they are utilizing fish in this region. If we compare with the other countries, I mean in other oceans like the Pacific and that, they don't utilize like in an Indian Ocean rim or in the Indian Ocean. So this is just to show how the trade is main group of species have been traded in the world, which is the production is criticized by the according to the people how they like this type of fish. For example, the salmon have been the most important commodity trade with a value in a very high value if you compare with other species, which is about 19% of the total value internationally traded fish in 2018. And in other main groups of export species were shrimps, prawns, and it's just around 15% in the total, but with the high value when you compare with the other fin fish, which is not very high value, but with the high percentage of consumed. This is the slide that shows that the top 10 global capture production in the world, and then we can see that Indonesia, India, which is one of Vietnam, were one of these countries which is also members in the Indian Ocean rim, and they have a very high capture in the fish resources, which is the production in 2018 was mostly driven from the marine captures. As I mentioned before, it's around 85 million tons. And the top 10 capture countries produce like China, Indonesia, Peru, and India, and other countries, which is very clear on the figure. That China is counted that 15% from the total global capture, and the other 7 countries around 50%, and from the total global capture fisheries production is 57%. And from this slide, it shows how the Africa and Asia doubled of their contribution in the world, of course, in fisheries and aquaculture. In Asia and Africa in past 20 years, it has almost doubled the production, and at the regional level, aquaculture accounted that around 18% of the total fish production in Africa, which is, it's been grown, it's very clear that from the past 20 years. And the share of aquaculture in Asia fish production, excluding of course China, because we cannot compare with China, that reached up to 42% in 2018. Inland aquaculture produced most farm fish, which is around 51 million tons, and it's only 62% from the world total production. The share of the finfish production decreased gradually from 97 in 2000 until to 91% in 2018, while the production of other species group increased. There is, of course, answers on that, why it's been increased on finfish. Could be as for biological issues or and other questions or answers on that, how they are being increased and decreased. So this figure, it shows that how the Eastern and Western Indian Ocean capture and aquaculture of total production between, I just like to compare between the Eastern and Western, that the capture in Eastern and Western has high in capture, but if you compare in aquaculture, still we are in a very low in production. So this is, it shows that we can focus also how to promote the aquaculture in the region, to emphasize or to support the countries, as the Indian Ocean Rim Association can be support, and how we can and capacity building in that area, which is as I said, that I really believe that aquaculture can take over, and even in FAO reports that says in 2030 it will be the aquaculture nearly 60% of the capture than in marine fisheries. So this is the volume and how to share the capture in aquaculture production in IORA total. That it shows that in 2008 it's only 55%, and how in 2017 it's been increased to 71%. So we are in a really you know, the production in aquaculture and the fisheries, how it's very important to the region. This slide is just showing you how the coastal is been affected by you know, the fisheries for the overfishing. And this is unfortunately the slide I didn't get it until 2018. It shows until 2000 only. So the highest, you can see that I will repeat it just there. It's just increasing and increasing from the coastal to the offshore, and you know, the year of the highest fisheries yield is just increasing, and the maximum catches have already been reached and still is falling down. This is one of the threats in the region. Okay, if you just concentrate in our Indian Ocean here, so see how it's a little bit threats, how the, you know, it's been overexploited, and the catches is just increasing. However, we can see that the global trends in the state of fisheries, okay, the fish stock that within the biological sustainable levels decreased from 90% in 1974 to 65.8, nearly 67% in 2017. In contrast, that the percentage of the stock fished at biological unsustainable levels increased, especially in the late of in 1970s or 80s, from 10% to 34% of that. So this calculation, it threats, okay, all the fish stock equally, regardless of their biomass and the catch. So in terms of the landing, in 78% or 79% of the current landing come from biological sustainable stock. That maximally sustainable fish stock is in 2017 accounted that it's a nearly 60%, and it's underfished stock up to 6% of the total numbers of the assessed in the stock. So the underfished stocks decreased continuously, okay, from 1974 until 2017, and still until today, 2020, we are just decreasing, and the percentage of the unsustainable is increasing tremendously. So this is the percentage of the stock fished that in groups of in the oceans. I would like to show that the Indian Ocean, we are in the middle, okay? Like in the Mediterranean and Black Sea, they already means the percentage is very high, while in a Pacific Eastern Central, they were in a very good situation, better than others, but still in the Indian Ocean, we are optimistic that if we work harder in between the countries, that we can be successful and we can sustain our fishery resources in the region. So this is what I believe. Okay, that the challenges in the sustainable in the country, and my colleagues already mentioned before how what is the sustainable fisheries, and everybody already in this world and it's a significant public issue, and they recognize, everybody is recognized that sustainable fisheries it's a very important, but the challenges is ecological sustainable, how we can sustain because of the changing of the climate, of the coastal stock have been exploited, like what I have shown previous slide, and how these sustainable fisheries livelihoods, which is these, I think the main, could be there are more, and but maybe it's a little bit minor. These are more major challenges to the countries, to the governments, to the organizations, how to get to these points, that how we can work together. So I know that FAO, they have legal framework, which is, they call it Code of Conduct for Responsible Fisheries. And this code is a key reference to informing the formulation of the policies and other legal framework to the all countries. And also the FAO, they are really still, they are working on this code, and they follow the countries who are following these legal frames, and who are managing these all policies. And so I think from the second slide that we can see the numbers of fish management plans in the world, that still Africa and Asia, they are trying to manage their develop in marine and inland capture, but still we can see that European and Latin America, they are better than us. So I think this is one of our, we can be optimistic that we can work like better than them, and we can reach better than what they are reaching. And especially that our region is very rich in the biodiversity and the stock and etc. So as I said, that working in order to work on sustainable in fisheries and aquaculture, recovering of depleting fish stock, we have to ensure that the food, the security, prevention of food loss, and spoil and securing this livelihood, we have to integrate the fisheries either with the stakeholders. Who are stakeholders? The local fishermen, the the organizations and the governments and so on. So, and we have also to implement the national, international, all the policies and the planning for these countries, and also the research and development of and management. We have to these are all has to be integrated together. So I don't know if the Secretariat of IORA and cluster group of in Indonesia you are leading now, that if we're going, can we make it as a 5-plan planning, strategic direction, and then how we can we do it as a action plan of these this development. I can say as a project, as a strategic planning for the Indian Ocean Rim member states. And I think if we work together and we can involve all the stakeholders, I think we can have very good output within 5 years. I don't say 100%, but at least 50 to 60% we can be successful from these solution. So we should collectively put our efforts to identify the factors of non-sustainable in the sector and come out with holistic solutions. I think that we must communicate and verify across sectors and communities, and recognize and risk under uncertainties, and increase the accountable and build a greater trust with and we have to be transparency, that as I mean that the government, they have to be very transparency with the fisheries stakeholders and give the solutions, and they have also to be involved in every legislations and frameworks. So what we are going, if you will agree with my recommendation on this. So this is I think our commitment towards strategic, how we can work in ecological sustainability, how we can go to work in economic sustainable in fisheries, like fishing in economic activity should be part of the policy discussion also in the fishery sector, how we can improve the collection and analyze the economic data and the full impact in the sector, which can inform the decision makers to have a very good be involved. And now we can also promote trust across the chain relationship between all the stakeholders. And how we can be the climate change, secure, the impact of the climate change in the fisheries. Because I think the climate change will most always be there. The only thing that we have to be, it's there because either the results is a winner or the loser. So how we can transform and adapt, and I think it's urgently needed to have some solutions how to adapt these the changing of the climate change. And I think one of the most important point, how we can innovate the technology in monitoring, in fishing, all these aspects of the technology. I think also we have to have a special team to work on how this innovation in the technology in the region. And exploring and promoting the new species, which is we have to work on the new species, and also to support the aquaculture, as I said before, and the science has to be very more strong and effort to have a very good. Before I end my slide and my presentation, I just would like to say that Mr. Ray Helbon from University of Washington in Seattle, he said there are a lot of problems, but things may not be as bad as ecologists have thought. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Lubna. I know that we're here virtually, but let's make the habit of giving a clap to our presenters. If you can't hear the claps outside, let's have a virtual clap inside your rooms. So thank you very much, Dr. Lubna. I think there are some slides there that were quite frightening, and that was since 1957, when the technology was not that prevalent. Fishing was not a dominant thing, but as time goes by, your map, it indicates that more and more people are fishing in regions, and we're not sure if it's sustainable or not. So thank you very much for those ideas and for your slides. And I just hope that our grandkids will continue enjoying the fish that we do today in the next 20, 30 years. Again, thank you, Dr. Lubna. I think there'll be a lot of questions. If I may, just quickly before I present it to the next speaker, I want to give an update to the participants. I want to let you know that we have about 180 participants here attending, and I think I saw my colleague from Thailand, Dr. Park Juta, there also listening attentively. But there are also participants from the United Kingdom. A shout out to Mr. Josh O'Kelly, and also from Turkey. We have also participants from South Africa, from the Seychelles, from Republic of Korea, and also from, of course, Dr. Lubna's friends from Oman are here also, but especially from Mauritius and Malaysia. Give you a shout out. I hope everything is well in Malaysia also. And we here have participants from Madagascar, from Kenya, from Italy, and also from Iran. Definitely. And as I see from Iran, I see my good friend from India also participating. And not to mention, there are many from Indonesia, from not only universities and also maritime enthusiasts and researchers and PhD students. But also we have a lot of speakers, a lot of participants from Germany, from, as I mentioned earlier, from India and from France, and also from Bangladesh and Australia from the CSIRO. So again, to all of you, I wish to welcome you. I see that Ms. Imtiaz is ready to make a photo session. I was thinking before we go to invite Aubrey, could we have a family photo or a photo session here? Because this is very special. Yeah, we're all concerned about the fisheries and its sustainability. We've got your email, so we can send you the presentations. But more importantly, what do you expect us to do from IORA? Because I'm sure that Patrian is looking forward to listening to all the suggestions. But even Patrian has a capacity to or even Dr. Lubna to hear 180 participants. So my colleagues here will put an email for you so that if you don't have a chance to speak your views or respond to the presentations, you can email us and even tell us from the IORA, from the TGFM, or from so that the core group on fisheries management, tell us what you think needs to be done. And that way, this big participation, your voices will be heard. So before I give it to Aubrey, let's wave our hands and have a quick shout hello and speak where you're from. And I'm sure the IT folks are already capturing the photo so that we can put on social media. So again, thanks for joining us. And we will therefore continue. Are we good? All right, excellent. You can put your hands down now. Thanks again. I can see Rodrigo Kundu here. I think is that your wife there with you, or is that your colleague asking about fisheries management? A shot from Jakarta. And Sanjay Pandey, I mentioned you earlier before, also Mr. Federico Gal. So Ms. Widiana Ayu, and I see all these names. This is a weird situation, is it, Ms. Lubna, Aubrey? I'd never meet all of you in any circumstance, but now through this COVID situation, virtual technology has made us connected. So we might be the maritime fisheries movement. So congratulations to all of you. With that, I would now give I'd like to introduce our next speaker. And Mr. Aubrey is from the AFP. Let me read out his background a bit before I give him the floor. We have about another hour. Yeah, Pak Trian, yeah, I hope you can still be with us. I know your schedule is very tight, but at least if we can hear the views or even read the comments, if you don't feel you have time to speak. But Mr. Aubrey Harris is a fisheries expert from Kofre Pesh, Seychelles. Mr. Aubrey Harris has specialized skills in effects of fishing upon fish communities, management of non-target species, and bycatch policy, and interaction on anti-zonal and industrial fisheries preparation, and implementation of management plans, fisheries information systems. So Mr. Aubrey got his bachelor's, I think, during the times of Margaret Thatcher at the University College of North Wales in 1977. I remember that time when I was in London, and I think the biggest concern was that she was taking away our milk, Mr. Aubrey. Margaret Thatcher was taking away the bottles of milk, but I think the economy improved since then. Mr. Harris was majoring in marine biology in North Wales in Bangor. And also Mr. Harris is a senior FAO officer at the international meetings, at sub-regional meetings also, including in the UN directors team and country level, UN United Nations country team and funding agencies. He's also obtained a high level of success in numerous FAO technical assistance missions in 12 Southern and Eastern African countries, as well as implementing an annual work program for Southwest Indian Ocean Fisheries Commission for several years. He has a good experience on collaboration with regional organizations, partners and projects, among others, the AU IBAR, SADC, COMESA, COI, IOTC, Nairobi Convention, SIDA, World Bank, COICA, WWF, and SWIOFP, and Smart Fish, and SWIO Fish. He also extended work with fisheries and fishing communities in Seychelles, Northern Australia, and Southern Africa. So I'm sure, being in Northern Australia, you've crossed by Darwin a few times, Aubrey, which I was based. I'm sure CSIRO is also keeping an eye on the situation in North Australia. Currently, Mr. Aubrey is a main resident expert. Sorry for that. Evidently, everybody's using the Wi-Fi in this hotel. So, Lubna, you'd think that it's usually about Batrian. I think at the end of the day, it's safer to use your handphones because you won't be interrupted by other people utilizing conferences. But I was saying, currently, Mr. Aubrey is a resident expert at Kofre Pesh, providing technical assistance to IORA for implementation and coordination of IORA action plans on fisheries, aquaculture, and marine environment. Mr. Harris has quite an impressive list of publications, written numerous consultancy reports, refereed and scientific publication and reviews and chapters of books and other publications. His latest book, entitled Non-Target Species in Australian Commonwealth Fisheries, a critical review, was published in 1999. So again, Aubrey, I'm imagining that you've seen the migration patterns of these fishes, and I hope things are improving a bit. I hope technology is not causing us to eat more fish irresponsibly. But with that, I'd like to invite you to give your presentation. Go ahead. If you can unmute. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Shiragar, for that introduction. And going back as far as Margaret Thatcher and days when the student loans were being reduced, as many years ago. Anyway, good day to all, and good day is short for good morning or good afternoon or good evening, because I guess we are coming from many different areas. I shall be talking of a technical assistance project, and what I need to do now is to get this presentation to work. And I hope it works. I do have some technical Problems going on at home. Okay. Just checking if you can see the presentation. Hello, can you hear me?
Maybe you can, sir, we can't see the presentation on our screen. Maybe you can screen share it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yep, yep. Take your time, sir. Ada yang belum cepat kali sih, belum. Udah cepat. Oh.
It says it's uploading.
Jadi mau kita yang upload gimana? Ada kita. Aubrey,
Yes.
we have a copy of
We're
representation.
having problems.
We have a copy of your
Yes, could we perhaps Gerhard as a copy, could he perhaps put it on? Because at the moment it says my internet is limited.
All right. So we have a copy and it's online already now, Aubrey. So I'll ask
Okay.
colleague Ersan to go through what you're speaking, and if you want to ask him to skip, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we are looking at it at the moment, eh?
Yes,
Thank you.
on
Thank
screen.
you, and sorry for that. And thanks for the introduction. I shall be telling you of a technical assistance project for the implementation and coordination of the IORA Action Plan on Fisheries, Aquaculture, and Marine Environment. Thank you. Can I have the next slide, or can I drive it?
Nope. Go ahead. Next one.
In the presentation, I shall look at the background to the project, its aims and objectives, the operational modalities, activities that are supporting fisheries management, other relevant activities, activities that are in progress, that have started, and I'll make a few final remarks. Thank you. Next slide, please. Now, the background is that IORA and France, and in terms of France, this is the Agence Française pour le Développement, which is the French Development Agency, signed an MOU in March of this year. And under that MOU, there would be a project, and this would provide support towards the implementation of the IORA Action Plan. The Blue Economy Working Group, and of course, subsequently, now that the core group on fisheries management is established and setting up its action plan and its work. Networking and material resources to the Secretariat and the member countries. It will involve the promotion of the blue economy and address fisheries management issues. Importantly, it will be strengthening the capacity of the IORA Secretariat. Next slide, please. Aims and objectives. The overall objective of the project is to support IORA and its member states in the coordination and implementation of the action plan on the blue economy, with a strong focus on fisheries, aquaculture, and protection of the marine environment. It's aligned and focused on the fisheries, aquaculture, and marine environment objectives of the working group for the blue economy, and with time, the core group on fisheries management. It is also in support of IORA initiatives in collaboration with existing regional initiatives and other dialogue partners. The specific objectives: to combat illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing, to promote sustainable fisheries management, to promote sustainable aquaculture development, to promote open market access to fish trade, including aquaculture, to standardize blue carbon assessment methods in the Indian Ocean, to protect and conserve coastal and marine biodiversity, to assess needs, capacities, capabilities in respect of the blue economy. Next slide, please. It is a 3-year project that will be implemented by the COFAPESH consortium, of which I'm part. There's a main resident expert working in Mauritius, supporting the IORA Secretariat. With it comes a technical assistance team of specialized experts for short-term, co-opted for short-term periods during the project. A study fund will be part of the project, and that supports the provision of technical expertise. The location of activities will be based on interest expressed by the member states to the IORA Secretariat to collaborate and offer hosting facilities. Thank you. Next slide, please. There are some 7 groups of activities, and here I'm taking 2 of them because these are key ones in terms of fisheries management. And there's a group of activities 1, which is combating IUU fishing in the IORA region. Here you see the activities and the year. You'll see where we are in 2020, and it goes on till 2023, which I think is now the time frame for the action plan for the blue economy. So under combating IUU fishing, there are 6 activities proposed. Is conduct an assessment of the capacity needs required, human and institutional, and the current level of implementation of port state measures in the IORA region. There's support member states against IUU fishing vessels and recommendations. Promote and provide support to member states to sign up port state measures agreement. Provide technical assistance and organize capacity building programs for the developing member states of IORA to initiate remote sensing methods for identifying IUU vessels. And the 6th is support member states to engage with appropriate regional bodies for advice. And the second group, which relates to fisheries management, of course, this is directly related to fisheries management. I mean, in a way, many things are related to fisheries management, but this one we've called promoting sustainable fisheries management. And here, the first activity is to initiate a capacity building program in fish stock assessment, a workshop on utilization of satellite services for fish stock assessment and a climate warming system, provide a training program on enhancing bycatch landing, valorization, traceability, and quality, including the development of safe handling guides and species identification guides, and establish cooperation between member states to regulate harvesting and combat overfishing and destructive fishing practices within the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goals 1414. Next slide, please. And there are some other relevant activities. I see we spoke about aquaculture, and I hadn't factored this in as fisheries management proper, but within the other areas, there are certainly areas that are very relevant. Activity 4.1, for example, and here I have highlighted them in yellow. Activity 4.1 is enhance the knowledge of member states on international trade and markets for fisheries and aquaculture products. Undertake a capacity building program on sustainable development of the fisheries and aquaculture sectors through appropriate regional trade agreements. And activity 4.5, conduct a feasibility study towards certification for export markets of fisheries products. And then under group 7, we have an activity, conduct a workshop to raise awareness of coastal and marine protection and conservation issues and their importance to the blue economy, including areas such as cruise tourism. Thank you. Next slide, please. Now, the project actually started in May, and there are some activities that are in progress, and I'll mention a few. There's an assessment of the capacity needs and current level of implementation of port state measures. And here what we're looking at is the technical expert specialist involved is looking at the situation and also collaboration, particularly with IOTC and FAO. We have in progress support exchange of information on IU vessels. This largely is work that I will be doing with the IORA Secretariat and in collaboration with member states, and in particular, I think Australia has volunteered to lead this area of enterprise. So we will be working very closely with whatever initiatives are intended in that area. We have our own suggestions as well, and analysis of measures against IUU fishing vessels and recommendations. And this is desk work, and also a questionnaire. Initiate a capacity building program on fish stock assessment. And here what we are looking at is looking at what exists in the region, making a compendium of the existing institutions that provide training courses, up university degrees, up PhDs, etc., related to stock assessment. So looking at what is existing in the region, what is needed, and also with it a questionnaire on the existing capacity. What do countries have at the moment, and what do they consider are their needs? Promote small-scale rural aquaculture, and here it will be a review of aquaculture, governance, and background for the development of small-scale aquaculture. We'll also have a presentation of some of the existing initiatives in rural aquaculture, with some successful and some not so successful examples. And lastly, we have just started. We've just started recruiting the specialized expert, and we've just started the recruitment, but we'll be working on a general review of fish trade, enhance the knowledge on international trade and markets for fisheries and aquaculture products. So what what we're doing is a general review of fish trade based on FishStat and some of the other information available, databases, ITC trade map, etc. So look at the general view of fish trade in the IORA region. Look at a SWOT analysis, of strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and a gap analysis of trade and markets and the knowledge thereof. Next slide, please. Now, it's really a good opportunity that we have to join all different members of IORA all around the world, and in particular the core group on cluster on fisheries management. Here are a couple of questionnaires. These are probably the next thing that some of the focal groups of the IORA countries in this area will be approached with, and it's questionnaires. And the first one is a questionnaire and stock assessment. So basically, it's about some 25 questions where we're looking at what is the existing stock assessment capacity and needs. So the people involved, institutions, government, universities, private sector, consultants, etc. The level of stock assessment skills that are existing and those which are considered to be required. Types of assessment. Stock assessment is a very broad domain. And so what are the needs? Basic data methods or basic methods for poor data, basic methods of assessment, all the way through surplus yield, etc., population biology, all the way through to state-of-the-art modeling with high-quality data. So we will try and tease out what is available, what people need, what countries need. How are the stock assessment results communicated? This will try and tease that out in the questionnaire, because it's important to communicate stock assessment results. And the questionnaire will also seek to have an indication of what was a recent stock assessment. And of course, 20 of the 22 members are in IOTC, so they participate in regional assessments on tuna. So if that is your latest assessment, we are also interested in knowing what is one of the most recent national assessments, those which are not related to tuna or shared species. On the IU questionnaire, it's really response-based. It's very simple, very short, completed within 10 minutes, and it's looking at basic things like whether there's a VMS requirement for commercial offshore vessels, whether foreign fishing vessels are authorized to fish in your EEZs, anyway, some 10, 12 very simple yes or no answers, or with some numbers. For example, do you have an NPOA IUU? And if you do, has it been reviewed? Or is it still the one from early 2000s? So thank you. Next slide, please. So thank you. So some final remarks. So we have started the project in the COVID-19 period. And of course, this comes with all its problems as we see now, but also obviously some advantages as we are catching up with many people just on the occasion today. But it has really affected regional travel. And of course, this has required us to emphasize early on in the project desk studies. So at the moment, we are primarily looking at reviews and desk studies, because that's the area that we can work on. Myself, I'm the main resident expert. I'm supposed to be in Mauritius, assisting with the secretariat. But of course, I can't do that. And so I am operating from the Seychelles. But of course, it's intended, situation permitting, that by the end of the year, I should be in Mauritius. Now, whilst at the moment it's all desk studies, physical workshops, training courses, etc., are planned for next year. Physical workshops and training are preferable. We can do it online, but you don't have the same impact, obviously. But all things being well, this will be the period next year when hopefully we are looking at this slightly in different eyes. But because of the COVID situation, inevitably, what we're going to be doing, we will be focusing a lot on what has been the impact of COVID-19 on the fisheries sector and aquaculture sector. We know about it now. We will be later on in a position to look at it retrospectively. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to active engagement within the cluster group on fisheries management. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Mr. Aubrey Harris. And despite being in Seychelles, but we're happy that your knowledge, wisdom, and experience is shared with us through this virtual platform. And I notice here that many friends that are in the CGFM are listening attentively to the presentation. And you showed us several basic sectors that deserve greater attention. And I think not only those countries that are equipped to address issues like IU fishing in IORA region, but there are many other trainings that we can learn through you, and that's an appreciation also to the organization that you represent. So again, thanks for your very comprehensive presentation. It gives us a view just how vast the challenges are and what are the areas we need to begin to cultivate. And not just that, I think each member of the IORA has their own challenges. I mean, like not only in the fisheries, but even being connected. So I think by this platform, again, like I mentioned earlier, we have your emails, and I hope that this is not a one-off webinar, Dr. Lubna, but it is a chance for us to begin that momentum. And when we have our next CGFM meeting or even IORA meetings, this fisheries agenda can be presented to the member states. And if we can find some low-hanging fruits, or what's the term in fisheries? Not low-hanging fruits, yeah. Fishes on the shore that we can pick up, not netted, of course, because nets are very dangerous for the environment. But I think there are some things that we can really quickly pick up pace and work together with. So thanks again, Mr. Harris, for your presentation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, participants of this webinar, I understand that it's already 1:30. We have another half an hour in our discussions, and I'm looking forward to any written comments in the chat box, which I can convey. At this point, looks like many of the participants are actually CGFM members, and I can see that Mr. Dawood, who was with me during the CGFM meeting a few months ago. And of course, I would now also observe that there are colleagues from the dialogue partners from Korea and also from Germany, but also from Italy. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, while the discussions have been given, even though only in 90 minutes, we've learned a lot from Dr. Lubna and also Aubrey regarding the fisheries issues. I'm sure that there are many queries and ideas that speakers want to ask the presenters, and perhaps we can give the floor to Aubrey and Lubna again for further elaboration on any particular issues. One thing that is an opportunity is the opportunity to develop stronger fisheries management with a focus on post-COVID initiatives, and that's one of the visible concrete cooperation that we can pursue or that we can do in the, let's say, what is the near future in COVID? Is it after the vaccine comes out, or is it in the next 12 months? But I'm sure that the IORA members are confronted with a fisheries challenge that cannot wait, because if business continues, I think I think it will only exacerbate the situation. With that, I think not only do we cooperate with member states, we have dialogue partners here who can also give their views. And I understand that here we also have a representative from the Italian Fisheries Federation, or Federpesca, joining our webinar today. I think IORA has also made a lot of cooperation, not only with France and Germany, but also Italy. And I was wondering if the representative from Federpesca or Mr. Federico Galas is available to present some brief ideas. I see Mr. Federico. It looks like it's still it looks like it's dawn in Rome. I wonder what time it is now there. But I would like to invite Mr. Federico to give some brief comments on our discussion. Please, Mr. Federico, go ahead.
Good morning. It's 10:30 here. I'm actually in Milan at the moment, but it's the weather is not so good actually. So that's why we are with all the lights on. So thank you very much. Thank you, especially on behalf of Federpesca, to the IORA Secretariat and Indonesia for organizing this workshop on sustainable fisheries management. As most of you already know, Italy is a dialogue partner of the IORA and Federpesca, so it is the Italian Association of the fishing industries, is honored to chair the Italy-IORA platform created by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. In order to support its member and to promote sustainable fishing, Federpesca has created an ecosystem that revolves around it, a branch in Brussels in order to follow the European legislation, a foundation, so an NGO that promotes sustainable fishing and brings expertise of Italian fishing abroad. We also collaborate with a consulting company which can assist fishermen in presentation and management of European projects. And last but not least, Federpesca is part of the Blue Italian Grow cluster. This participation facilitates the collaboration with the academic sector. It was mentioned during the intervention, especially in data collection and for the development of master plans on sustainable management, and also in the research sector. What came out today, especially the need for an holistic approach to sustainable fisheries management, convinces us even more to make available to IORA and its member countries Federpesca's expertise in sustainable fisheries management. This experience has been acquired also in collaboration with other European countries, France for instance, in the joint management of European projects on stock conservation, selective fishing, in particular in the research and development of innovative fishing gears, and in project to fight IUU through the introduction of ICT and satellite monitoring. Actually, IUU fishing is not only a problem in the Indian Ocean, but in the Mediterranean also. So we have a wide expertise in this sector. So we would like to thank IORA for these opportunities, and we really look forward to working with IORA and its member countries. Thank you very much.
Grazie, Federico Galas, and it's always a pleasure to work with our dialogue partners. Colleague, distinguished guests, that was from Italy, and I think I see on the screen here my good friend from the GIZ, Mr. Krimmel, and I think he made a response to from the Ibu Lubna, Ukhti Lubna's presentation regarding how climate change affects fisheries. And I was wondering also if others want to convey questions on that, please by all means. But before Ms. Lubna conveys her comments regarding Thomas Krimmel's question on how climate change affects the fisheries at this stage based on your research, I want to come back to Mr. Federico Gal, that at the end, I think our engagement with Italy and France and Germany and other dialogue partners, including Korea and even previous partners, including the US and the UK, I think it becomes even more serious in the fisheries area, Patrian. But perhaps before Ibu Lubna conveys her response to Thomas Krimmel, Pak Trian, would you like to make any brief overviews regarding what you've heard so far? And we as government officials, do you think we're pretty far from Dr. Lubna's projections, or even Mr. Aubrey Harris's proposals? We as government no doubt have a responsibility, but the reality is most countries aren't maritime countries or archipelagic states. We're mostly continental countries. So I can imagine, Pak Trian, you managing the seas is a political challenge, because most governments are focused with what is in front. Maybe from Bangkok, also from Thailand, if you have some experience in as a government, yeah, how do we really bring the fisheries and maritime agenda more to the forefront? It's the future of our food security, and yet Aubrey has given us a list of great work programs and training, and yet if it's still behind other issues that are more pressing at Pak Trian, yeah, other issues like other kinds of development, I think the fish stock will slowly disappear. Pak Trian, go ahead if you have any overview comments.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Andrew. And I think I would like also to share my gratitude to our fellow speaker that give us a very good insight on this today webinar. Pak Andrew, actually, I would like to take some of your comment about the fishery sector itself. As in the Indonesia ministry, we believe that the fishery sector will be one of the champion that can be a solution on the recovery process of the national economy. We really hope the pandemic will have a kind of solution. I don't know after the vaccine. We hope very soon, of course. But I think also it is quite important for us to prepare everything during this situation. Of course, that amid of the situation, the government still provide a kind of a stimulus fiscal to the fisheries fishermen that particularly, having an impact on the production side. Yeah, but this is mostly because not because they cannot go to the sea, but having the product after the sea. So we still have what we call facing a situation that how the product can be really distributed to be marketed, since you know that some of the restaurant and also the tourism area that is most consume of the fisheries product right now still some still closed. But I think we have to prepare a kind of situation like this. One of them is, as I mentioned on my presentation, we need a kind of, a kind of model, a kind of role that can be what we call taken into account by all of fisher community, like labeling, what I said something about the certification process. So we have right now 2 of our tuna fisheries having certified by the Ecolabel, MSC Ecolabel, and another 8 coming. And beside tuna, also we have 3 commodity like a squid, a shrimp, and also swimming crab. So right now it's also under the process for the certification. What I would like to say, actually, during the today presentation, sort of aspect talking about the IU fishing, I would like to go to talk beyond that. Our stakeholder or fishing company certified by kind of Ecolabel certified. This is more benefit that they will get to them. So of course that for those who would like to go with a kind of certification process, the government will really support on this. So I would like to make sure that we are prepare everything. We create the new what we call era for the fisheries management that is more, give a premium price to the fisheries itself. So to make us clear what the government to do, yeah, give a kind of additional value to the fishermen. So this is actually a kind of a real example what we are going to do on the field. So despite, of course, that the government itself have to what we call equip itself by any kind of instrument that can deter and eliminate the IUU fishing, including PSMA, Post-State Measure Agreement that already mentioned by Pak Aubrey also. We are what we call encouraging this one. But of course, beside the local action that we need, through the IORA cooperation that right now is already established, we have the same agreement on the concept note and the term of reference. And right now we are talking about the draft of action plan that already mentioned. Actually, Pak Andrew, actually, it is good also for us actually to share on the chat box to everyone that we already actually having a kind of fisheries management action plan. I just actually, take a part of this. Would like to make something that is more practice to be understood what we need. But beside of that, of course, in the regional context itself, I'm talking about tuna. So this is the most common ground. Pak Aubrey mentions about the stock assessment. Of course, this is also an area that's very important to understand, and especially, to make sure the potential stock, potential product that can be, offered from this IORA era. But I think when we were talking about tuna, this is, is more a common species, in our area that is, more attached with the work of the IOTC, as I mentioned. So I would like also to suggest until while we are also waiting, the work plan to be concreted and adapted, and also can offer to more collaboration to all dialogue partner and all the what we call donor that maybe attending this meeting. Also, I would like also to encourage this one to strengthen our position in IOTC itself, because as I mentioned, there's a lot of critical issues right now we are facing, like a discussion on the allocation criteria that would like to give us a fair equity rights, how we actually should get our quota of tuna from the Indian Ocean from each IORA member country. We have to talk among the countries about this. And of course, there are also an issues about the IOTC itself, is about the compliance level of our member also that need to support one each other. That are actually all the plan is already on the work plan, like the improvement of data collection and everything. Well, I would like to also to highlight the importance of what we call the innovation technology, because right now it's just something normal. I would like also maybe in the next. We are more discussing on this part. So because also this is also important. Always technology, since more IORA member states are developing state, still our problem. So we need also to make sure that the compliance level will not hinder us from having a good quota for tuna in Indian Ocean, for example. It's a lot of opportunity we can discuss during the pandemic. We are preparing to have a new era, or the era that actually is more traceability. Product can be really traced and what we call make sure for the sustainability of fishery stock itself. That is actually a general comment. Of course, as government, we are really supported by this kind of initiative.
Always supportive, Pak.
We are happy.
Always supportive.
Yeah, thank you, Pak. Yeah.
Thank you, Pak Trian. As I mentioned, and you mentioned, we government are always supportive, which is the good news, is because out of the 180 participants today in the webinar, not all are governments, and there are many researchers and actors and even companies. So I think you mentioned very well that we do have a work program for the CGFM. So if my colleagues here can share on the chat, or maybe even have it shared with those who are not involved in the CGFM discussions. But what you said, Pak Trian, at the end of the day, there are some normal things we can do, but innovation is very, very important. This COVID might have inspired us to try new ways of doing things. Technology, hopefully we can communicate more through these platforms, but when it comes to fisheries, I think Dr. Lubna will see just the challenges in the field. Before I give Dr. Lubna the chance to respond to the comment from Thomas Krimmel, I also want to read out here a question from Bangladesh. Oh yeah. Before I give the floor for Aubrey, there was a question for you, and maybe you can start thinking about how to respond to it. This is a question from Bangladesh, Shaukat Chowdhury, and he was asking whether there was a provision, development of marine spatial plans for IORA members or capacity building for for sustainable fisheries management in the said project. So again, I hope you might have some questions, but Ms. Dr. Lubna, before I give you the floor, I have an ASEAN colleague here who would like to make a brief comment from Thailand. Could I invite my colleague from Thailand to briefly convey some ideas on how the CGFM can be better strengthened? And I believe she's my colleague from the CGFM. Go ahead, my friend, my sister.
Hello. Hello. Are you hear me? So thank you for your presentation and arrange for this meeting for the IORA. I would be propose some the idea for the fishery management plan in the IORA area. Is in case of Thailand, we have the our national fishery management plan. We can be share the idea and experience from our colleague, the member country in the IORA area. So, and also for the if we have the workshop or with the fishery management plan, I think this project should be gathering with the EAF lands and program. They have survey in all of the Indian Ocean. I think that some of the countries I think will be useful for if we can get some the information from this program. We can gathering this information to support for the sustainable fishery management program in IORA. So, and also for the Thailand, we quite interesting for the impact of the climate change on fisheries. If this program can be, I saw in the some activity that they mentioned for the impact of the climate change on fishery. I think will be useful for the not only Thailand in our member country as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thailand, for your views. With that, could I invite Dr. Lubna to respond to those two comments before I invite Aubrey? Go ahead, Dr. Lubna.
Thank you again. Regarding for the climate change, it has very impact in the fisheries sector. How it has fisheries impact on the climate change, because what we have seen in recently, let's say a few years ago, let's say 10 years ago, the frequency of the blooming of the red tide is very high at this year's, that is the analysis of the scientists still it's not really clear what is the reason of the frequency of the blooming. Has a very impact on the coastal fisheries, especially in the coastal fisheries. Second thing of the depletion of the oxygen in the some areas in the zones in the area. It's it has a very big impact of the depletion of the oxygen in the area, which is also it makes of the stock of the some species which is the not migrated. Okay, they have really a big impact on the fisheries. So we these are just a couple of examples, but there are many of other examples like dust. which is had an impact on the region also in the fisheries. So this is just, I have some in my mind at the moment with examples of what is the impact of climate change in the fisheries sector. If you remind me, what is the second comment, please?
No, it was very much on the climate change, yeah. But I think if I may make a comment, Dr. Lubna, I think for those people who are enduring COVID-19 and work from home, I think Netflix has become a favorite entertainment platform. But even in Netflix, they have some stories about how fisheries is impacted by climate change. And it's quite frightening. You mentioned about dust. And through that, I think we're seeing less transportation of dust and affecting the seas. I cannot possibly imagine when those dusts get reduced in numbers and the effects on the fisheries. So looking forward to your data having some improvement. Hopefully with the COVID, we'll be having less climate change challenges, and hopefully Thomas Krimmer will enjoy his cycling in Mauritius, because I think maybe the outcome of this COVID is cycling might be best in terms of maintaining the environment for climate change and at the end for fisheries. Thank you, Dr. Lubna. Could I invite my friend, yes, could I invite my friend Aubrey? Did you want to respond to the inquiry from our friend from Bangladesh, Shaukat Chowdhury?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Sirigar. I think the comment from Bangladesh related to marine special plans. You know, I sit in Seychelles here, and Seychelles has been pursuing for several years now a marine special plan. It is part of a total blue economy concept. It's part of a total allocation in terms of looking at your blue economy. And when we proposed this project, we were looking at particular areas, and this was fisheries, aquaculture, and marine environment. And for example, in Seychelles, there are areas now allocated for protection. There's coming up fairly soon to almost 30%. So there's quite a process involved. And we had to select. At the time, we had the work plan for the working group on the blue economy. And so we picked out some of the activities and some of the objectives there. Of course, we couldn't pick out everything, and certainly the marine special plan was not something that we saw or we were able to pick. In terms of sustainable fishing initiative, again, you know, when the core group has its work plan circulated, there are things that we can do to adjust what we are doing. But we selected from the blue economy work plan certain areas, and this is what we have included. So the appeal for more sustainable fishing initiatives, really, it's when we see the cluster group work plan, and then we can see how we can work with it. So at the moment, what you see is what we have programmed, and of course there will be adjustment over time, but at the moment we don't have a marine special plan, and neither would we be able to undertake that kind of level of initiative. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Aubrey. And again, these are small baby steps here. And it's really great that IORA is actually taking a go at this. Perhaps we can learn from other regional forums like the Pacific Island Forum, and in which AFP is also involved, and that AFD is involved in that one. But as I thank you for your views, Aubrey. As you look at the comments here, I think our participants are beginning to warm up. From India, my good friend Sanjay has already reminded us that IORA should look into the conceptualization of a regional plan of action for combating IU fishing, RPOA IU fishing, and then RPOA on MCS. So I think we've discussed that in the CGFM, but for the other participants who's not part of the government, we're trying to do this, and if we're finding some hindrances, you can always talk to your local, your resident fisheries ministry and convey your suggestions. And so I was saying, I lost me for a second there, but evidently this, like I was mentioning, Bangladesh, we thank your support, and we noticed that other comments were coming in the chat area. But I think this discussion should not be only today, but we can continue the discussion intersessionally, be it with the CGFM, or even I'm proposing my friend Dawood from Oman, that maybe we should have an open dialogue with the stakeholders, because what Aubrey and what Lubna is saying, these are still a long way to go for us to actually engage the issue comprehensively, as Federico commented, and also Thomas Krimmel commented. I think before Patrian, one thing is continued input from stakeholders will be helpful. And as Patrian mentioned, innovation is something that we need to truly inject into the CGFM. And I think IORA has a real strong opportunity to raise to the discussion, not only on IORA as a whole, but on the issue of fisheries management. Colleagues, we're almost running out of time. I'd like to invite a colleague from the Secretariat of IORA to perhaps give their comments. And I think Dr. Gatot was one of the organizers of this event. Perhaps Dr. Gatot, before we conclude, could you give your thoughts?
Thank you, Mr. Andre. Well, I'm grateful for the fruitful discussion we had today. And thank you especially for the speakers, Mr. Trian, Dr. Lubna, and also Aubrey. And also thank you for Indonesia as the coordinator, and all member states, as well as the dialogue partners, FSU and cover page, for active role in the fisheries management in IORA. I think the way forward, we wish that the next CSO and COM meeting in December will approve the establishment of the cluster group of fisheries management. So if so next year, especially post-COVID, we can have activities in this area. I think that's all. Mr. Andre, thank you.
Thanks for the update, Pa Gatot. And again, colleagues, 2 hours seems very, very short. And I feel like I'm getting to know one of you one by one, and more importantly, getting to know the issue of fisheries management and how vast it is, and how people like Patrian and Dr. Lubna and Aubrey have to manage this vast territory. So I'd like to just convey a few closing remarks, and that is, from what we discussed and what we've been reading on the chat, we all agree that the fisheries sector is a crucial one and has a lot of main resources for the Indian Ocean, which provides not only food security, but contributes greatly to the livelihood of coastal communities. And as Patrian mentioned, this COVID situation is affecting not only the coastal communities, but other communities that rely on fish consumption. And secondly, despite its great importance, the fisheries sector still faces significant challenges, and not only in managing, but the threat of overfishing and illegal fishing and unreported, unregulated fishing, fishing, as mentioned by Dr. Lubna, and also we haven't mentioned about the marine pollution, and even that, Patrian, I think the issue of plastic is something that will affect us if, as much as we enjoy eating fish, if the issue of plastic debris is becoming more prevalent, I think we should be ready to address it before it gets worse. And of course, climate change and habitat destruction are also things that affect the fisheries management. And in this time, during the COVID-19 pandemic, how does it affect the supply chain of fisheries to become, in a way, not disrupted or impacted for the consumption of all communities, be that in the coast or even deeper in the continents. And fourth, third, we want to sustain the sector. We want to promote collective effort. We're realizing the importance and the emphasis needed to have the aspect of sustainability as a priority, and also the protection of the marine environment, the revitalization of fisheries, and also the engagement of relevant stakeholders. This is where IORA plays an important opportunity. As a premier forum in the Indian Ocean, I think it's also a premier cooperation in the element of fisheries management. So we really need to strengthen our cooperation in fisheries sector, and we need to identify strategic steps to deal with these challenges while simultaneously delivering various initiatives to the region, both conceptually and also innovatively. And I think we're understating the fact that even though the CGFM or IORA are mostly government officials, but from the participants today, we have researchers and we've got youth and we've got companies. We really could use their input, because the Indian Ocean is a vast territory that we don't want to ruin. And also finally, I want to convey that the importance of establishing synergy between IORA, functional bodies, dealing with fisheries working group on the blue economy, and the CGFM. We can go a long way. And of course, with the cooperation with FSU, with Dr. Nubla and the support. And also here, we welcome the role of the AFD and also other partners, including the GIZ and even from Italy. There are many rooms for cooperation. Patrian and Indonesia as coordinator, we're very honored to facilitate this and to continue getting the stakeholders involved. Because at this point, Patrian, Aubrey, Lubna, I think we should realize by now that government, as ambitious as they are, the maritime front is really a territory that needs a special approach. And if we do think business as usual, I think, as mentioned by Thailand earlier, the challenges will only compound. And now with COVID, we can see it as a challenge, or we can see it as an opportunity. So I hope we can use that as an opportunity. So those are my brief views of our comments. And again, I hope that we can continue discussing, and I hope my friends have shared the email address so that we can continue receiving comments from the public and also from other delegations. With that, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to an end, I think our webinar has been quite enticing. I'd like to believe that is somewhat successful in giving a curiosity amongst us members of the CGFM and other participants. And that's thanks to the result of excellent cooperation among many parties. Let me express my gratitude to all participants today for your valuable time prepared for us, and of course your contributions in the webinar. And a special thanks to the three expert speakers, Mr. Trian Yunanda, Dr. Lubna Al-Kharoushi, and Mr. Aubrey Harris, for their presentations. I hope we can have a copy of it so that we can dissect it and then we can learn from it and even memorize it, and for the insights and also to the questions arisen from the participants. My appreciation also goes to our good friends at the IORA Secretariat. I know many of you are here, not only Dr. Gatot, but I see Mark and I see also Graham from South Africa and many other participants from the Secretariat. So a great thanks for your preparation of this webinar, and also to the contributions that greatly make our discussions more fruitful. So once again, we've had our photo session. I want to thank you all, and I hope you all remain safe and COVID-free. And I send my prayers to you. And I see Thomas Krimmel there now. He's decided to show up. He doesn't have his bike with us. But again, I hope that despite the COVID situation, we'll remain inspired and inspired by Lubna's presentation and Aubrey's and Patrian's, and remain closely knit and communicating regularly. Thank you very much, and I wish you a safe day. Maybe we should have a special comment, Thomas Krimmel. Fisheries, welcome.
Everyone.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Baik, Patrian. Everybody, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Patrian, terima kasih. Mas, selamat. All right.
Thank you.
Adi Muhammad. Latih Amaral. It's good to see you. Mahmud Palo.
Waalaikumsalam.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.